We are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Bucks County Living Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Neff, your real estate resource. Today, I am joined by the author of Money Hacks, because everything you think you know about money is wrong. He also wrote How We Quit Our Jobs, Got Rich, and Found Freedom with Real Estate and Stock Options Investing, 12 Practices Real Estate Agents Should Be Doing, and I Bet You Aren't, If I Won $25 million in the Lottery. He's also the former host of Money Chat Now, founder of the Investor Schooling, and Stock Option Sultan, Larry Steinhouse. It is so good to see you, Larry.
What's happening, Alex?
I'm so excited to dive into your story, dive into the Investor Schooling, because you do a ton of good things in the community and with entrepreneurs around Bucks County, and I'm really excited to dive in to talk about it.
Awesome, man.
So could you tell me what the Investor School is?
So we teach people how to invest in real estate, how to invest in the stock market, how to pay less taxes, how to basically change your life financially. There's so many people who know nothing about money, know nothing about investments, know nothing about how to change their life, and they think that they have to go to work every day, working 40 to 60 to 80 hours, whatever the heck they work, making whatever they make an hour, or even $100,000 a year, whatever, and they're never going to get anywhere. The average person retires with $160,000 in the bank, or investments, or whatever it is, $160,000. Now, I don't know about you, but even if you can live on $16,000 a year, that's only going to last you 10 years. So that's useless. I'm going to teach you how to make money residually. Every month you're going to get a check. Now, I get rental income. I probably get somewhere near $30,000 to $35,000 a month in rental income now. And I never have to go to work anymore. I just keep opening businesses and having fun. And one of the businesses I own, like you said, was Investor Schooling, and I teach people how to do this. It's amazing how once you start learning how money really works, your life just changes. We have so many success stories. I have a success story of a woman who came to me. She never even owned a principal residence. Never even owned a principal residence. Wow. She's 47 years old. Never owned a principal residence. 2 years of being with me, she now owns 5 different properties, rental properties, and she just got a check for $125,000 on a property she just sold. This woman never even made, I don't even think she ever made more than $12 an hour.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. I love that you feel so passionate about trying to teach people how to become financially free. A few years ago, I'd done a presentation at Temple University about how the Philadelphia school system had failed not only me, but everybody in my graduating class, everybody in the high school.
Why did it fail you?
Because they did not teach any financial education whatsoever.
Did they teach you how to read and write?
They taught me how to read and write.
Okay, then they did their job.
But I feel like that there is so much more to uncover with this financial institution of money. I mean, money can work for you. Money can do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. It basically, cash is king, right? If cash is king, then cash
Actually, you know what? I'm going to
rules.
tell you something. Cash is not king.
No, why is that?
Cash flow is king.
I like that.
Because, cash is great. What are you going to do with it? I love the expression. I even do it, and I hate doing it, because I even did it at the beginning of this podcast. I say, people need to save money in the bank. Let me tell you the absolute worst place you could put any money, period. It's in a bank. So if you have money in a bank, you're making a complete mistake. So if you have a whole bunch of cash in a bank, you're making a mistake. If you have a whole bunch of cash invested, now it's funny because guys like me, millions and millions and millions of dollars of properties and net worth, we never have money. I mean, that's not true. I walk around typically with $1,000 to $2,000 in my wallet at all times, or I feel naked.
Yeah.
But and most people can't even say that they have $1,000, $2,000 anywhere, right? I have to carry it around in my wallet because I feel naked if I don't have it. Oh, by the way, don't rob me.
Yeah. Oh man. So how did the Investor School actually get started? Because you seem very passionate about this.
So this is a funny story how it got started. So it was actually 5 years ago and about a month from now that it actually was officially opened. But how it got started was maybe about 6 years ago. I bought a building. It's at 108 Corporate Drive. I bought this building. And, I was going to buy it. I bought it and expecting to rent it. I got a really great deal. Seller financing, $1,000 a month, no interest. This is what we teach people how to do,
incredible.
by the way. Yeah, this is what we teach people how to do. So I bought this building. But anyway, so I'm also sitting at home and I'm doing nothing. And I got to be honest. I mean, like I'm making money in stock options. The stock options pays for my cars. And when I say cars, I'm not talking about like a little dinky car. I'm talking about if I wanted to buy a Corvette, I go out and buy a Corvette. I bought them and I sold them and and BMWs and whatever. Those pay for my car. I pay from cash, and then the real estate was just paying all my bills. I didn't have a worry in the world financially. I'm sitting home and I'm watching Dr. Phil. I mean, how boring is that? Do you know what happens when you retire when you're young?
What happens?
You have nothing to do during the day. You know why? Because everybody is at
they're at
work. Ugh. So I'm bored to death, and somebody just happens to call me up and say, "Hey, I hear you know a lot about real estate. Can you teach me?" I'm like, "All right, sure." So there's a Dunkin' Donuts down the road, and I go to Dunkin' Donuts. I meet them there. I start showing them some things. And I call him up a week later. Hey, did you start doing any things I told you to do? No. All right, great. And literally, somebody else calls me about stock options to say, "Can you teach me stock options?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let me give you some stuff." And what do you think we go?
Dunkin'
Donuts down the road.
Guess.
Exactly right. So it's Dunkin' Donuts down the road. So sure enough, I call them up a week later, and they did
nothing.
Exactly.
All right.
So I don't know. A couple of weeks later, somebody else calls me, and they want to know. This one was about real estate. And I said on the phone. Just on the phone, I said, "Okay, I charge $3,500 for a 3-month coaching program. I'll teach you everything you need to know about real estate." And he goes, "Okay." We meet at Dunkin' Donuts. I ask him for a check before I even open my mouth. He hands me a check for $3,500. I'm like, A week later, guess what? He actually did something. So I discovered very quickly that people have to pay attention. Then I started having coaching 6, 10, 12 people. I'm like, this is getting pretty massive. It's getting pretty exciting. And I'm coaching them at Dunkin' Donuts. And I realized, I got this office that I can't fill. Remember the office I bought? Right?
Yeah, I remember.
I'm having trouble renting it. I can't rent it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to clean this place up. I'm going to turn it into a place where I can coach people, group coach people. So I started doing that. And the next thing you know, I opened up investor schooling. And we've had something like 350 people go through our doors learning about real estate, and we have super success stories.
Wow.
Matter of fact, if you go to Google, we have 160 5-star Google reviews.
That's impressive. That's pretty impressive.
I think it's impressive too, actually.
Yeah.
But it's funny because there's one-star review.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'm going to tell you, if you listen to this podcast, go look up the one-star review. It happens to be my favorite review.
And why is that?
You have to look it up.
Okay, so look up on Google the investor schooling in Langhorne.
The one-star review. Everything else is
review.
5 stars. This is the only one-star review. This is my favorite review.
That's impressive because it's clear. I mean, I agree with you, right? Where people that have the so-called skin in the game, they're more inclined to actually do something and actually continue to take that initiative and follow through. That's why even in real estate deals, right, we have an earnest money deposit where you put a couple dollars down to make sure, hey, this is real. I really want to buy this house. I really want to get this going. So I think it's really cool that you're able to coach a lot of people and you have so many success stories because and you also do a ton of other things surrounding the investor school where where we had met. It was Ken MacArthur,
right.
And it was the Impact Marketing.
Correct.
That's on the last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, there's one coming up. Sure.
Yeah, it's coming up. By the time this airs.
But that's right. It'll be the third. It'll be the week of February. It'll
yeah.
Be the last
yeah,
Tuesday
exactly.
Sure.
So it's pretty impressive because that's where we met, and you asked the right questions. Mm-hmm. You really asked me some questions because I was talking about the podcast. I was talking about my real estate, and we all just kind of came to the conclusion. It's like, I have no idea what I want. I have no idea what I'm doing.
You're having fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm having a good time, and I enjoy doing the podcast. I enjoy doing real estate. But you definitely stirred up the right questions, and I think that's really important as a coach to ask the right questions so that it can inspire other questions by the people that you're coaching. So, how did you even get into all of this? I'd love to hear a background about you and kind of how you fell into real estate and stock options trading. What's your background?
So let's start when I was 18 years old. So I'm 18 years old, and I'm working for a company called Crazy Eddie. Remember Crazy Eddie?
Crazy Eddie. I've never heard of Crazy Eddie.
It's funny how most people don't know it anymore. It was an icon. So I'm working for a company called Crazy Eddie. It was an electronics store, and I was a technician there. At the time, I'm making $5 an hour. I have to tell you that this was above minimum wage.
Wow.
So this was 1980. I don't even know, maybe one. I don't know, whatever it was. Anyway, so there's a guy who's working there, who's my boss, and he's buying houses and he's renovating them and he's renting them. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. I'm thinking, hey, how if he can do it, I can do it, right? So I decided that I was going to do it. Now, one day I'm actually at the gym and I'm working out on this bike. They have the stationary bike. And at the time, obviously in the 80s, we didn't have iPads and iPhones. And, we did have books, of course, because books have been around a little bit longer than the 80s. But I forgot to bring one. So there used to be these real estate books. And they're still around, but they hardly have anything in them. But instead of the MLS, we used to have the real estate book. So you'd go in front of a store and there'd be a thick book with all the real estate listings in it. And sure enough, interestingly enough, I grabbed that. I figure it'll entertain me for the hour I'm going to be on the stationary bike. And I start flipping through it. And I find this house in Easton, Pennsylvania. And it's listed at the time for $26,500. And it's a 2-family house. So I immediately called a real estate agent. I said, hey, I want to see this house. And this real estate agent must have been new because she showed it to me. So she shows it to me. She shows me that. She shows me a couple other houses. And she goes, so what do you think? I said, well, I'll take that house, the one that's listed for $26,500. And she goes, okay. And we figure out that I'm going to get fine, whatever. She explained. I know nothing about buying houses. She's explained to me, that we're going to have to go to a bank and get financing and blah, blah, blah. And she says, okay, I need a deposit for $500 just to earnest money deposit like you said before. I swear, I looked at her, I go, I don't have $500. And she goes, okay, can you give me a check for $100? So I write the check for $100 because I'm too embarrassed to tell her that I don't have $100. I write the check, give it to her, figure out how to make it happen. So long story short, 30 days later, I close on that house. And here's something very interesting. Now remember, I had no money, right?
Right.
I had to figure out how to get a bank loan. I don't know. No matter what, I got to come up with money to close. Not anymore. Now I learn how to make money when I close. I actually get checks. But then I had no idea what I was doing. And then I bought this book by Robert Allen called No Money Down, and I read the book. And I actually read how I did it.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of cool. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. And then I started buying houses, and, as time went by, I actually made the biggest mistake in my career at that point. I sold that house for a 50% profit 1 year later. Now, that's pretty good, you think, right?
You would think.
It actually wasn't bad, but the problem was that if I would have kept that house, now at the time I was making $250 positive cash flow. Now that's in the 80s, that's fantastic. I was making $250 a month positive cash flow. If I still owned that house would be worth about maybe $200,000,
Wow.
which isn't a lot, considering I paid $26,000 for it, and how many years have gone by. It's not. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's not considering the time. But the cash flow in that house would probably be $3,000 a month, and it would have been paid off a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's what the mistake was, and I learned very quickly buy and hold strategy absolutely works.
So that was how you got started in real estate. How did that translate into stock options? Did you make the money for the earnest money and down payment and everything through stock options, or how did you get into that?
I heard this thing called stock options. I heard about this thing called stock options, and I bullied my way into figuring out how to buy them. That's a big mistake. Anybody who wants to learn stock options, don't do it the way I did it. So I actually was trading stock options for about 4 years. This was probably about 15 or so years ago at this point. It was right around 2006, 7, 8, right around there. I started trading stock options. I had no idea what I was doing. So it turned out that after about 4 years, sometimes I was up, sometimes I was down, I was blah, blah, blah. It turned out after about 4 years, I looked over my notes and over my statements, and I noticed that I actually made $4,000 in 4 years. Now, that was a surprise. Knowing what I know now, it's actually a surprise. But the interesting part was I did notice that there were times like, I don't know, that trade that I lost, $3,000 on, I remember being up $5,000. What did I do? Why didn't I sell it? So I decided to write a set of rules, and the rules of the crazy options trader is what they're called now. But I decided to write a set of rules. There's 17 rules, and I started trading those rules. Well, that year, trading those rules, I made $85,000 in the stock market.
Wow. Which
is pretty impressive. And I thought, all right, maybe I got lucky. Well, next year I made $125,000, and then subsequent years I made an average of $200,000 to $250,000. Now, I will tell you that the last 2 years I didn't do so well. And part of it, I got to be honest, because I broke the rules.
You broke the rules. Wow. That's incredible because, clearly you would come up with these rules as strategy over 4 years. I mean, it was basically like
Sure.
going to college for a 4-year
Yeah,
degree,
right.
right? And you came
Much
out
cheaper.
You came out with a bachelor's in stock options,
Right.
and now you have these trading rules, and you're getting some crazy returns, and you continue to like filter that into your real estate business, and then you break the rules the last couple of years, and
It happens all the
Yeah.
time, though. So the rules are very difficult. So it's funny. I teach my students the rules, and they're like, "Well, how come you didn't follow them?" I go, "Wait," and you'll see it because the rules are simple if you're a machine, and you can't feed these rules to a machine. By the way, what I'm saying is, what I mean by that is, once you pull the complete emotion out of yourself, the rules are easy to follow. But sometimes you just, your ego gets in the way. I know this stock's going to go up, gets in the way, and that's the ego, by the way. And sometimes it just doesn't work. And then you need to know, hey, look, I'm down this much. I need to get out now and stay out, and don't go to another, and go, and don't use that stock option anymore. And it's funny because that's what happens. That was probably the biggest causes of my major losses, was me sticking to a stock and being stubborn.
I love that because I attended one of the free classes for the investor schooling, and you had shared some of the rules, and it was like, don't buy low, sell high, buy low, sell higher.
Right.
It didn't matter if you made $500
That's
or
right.
$50 or $5. The fact that you make anything is a plus.
Yes.
Whether it's $1,
Nobody ever
$10,
went broke taking a profit.
Exactly. Nobody ever went broke taking a profit. I love that because it's so true, right? When you play in the stock market, sometimes it's like playing.
Sure.
For like the truth is, it's a business. It's working on something to try and get a return on. And if the return is $5, it's still profit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot of work for $5.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you're saying. So, and then the most important thing too is you have to have solid foundation. Now, my solid foundation is in real estate. I own a whole bunch of real estate. I could retire. I retired 5 times already. I'm tired. I figure I'm just going to work to the end of my life only because I like it. People go like, "What's your hobby?" I don't know. Opening an ice cream store. As I said to you before we started this podcast, I'm opening an ice cream store. Why am I opening an ice cream store? Do I need the money? No, I'm opening an ice cream store. The funny part is I actually have an empty building, and I having a little bit of trouble renting it. I said, screw it. I'm not going to rent it. I'm going to open an ice cream store. And what's the difference?
Yeah.
So I throw $50,000 renovating this store, buying the equipment, and I get a bunch of kids working for me. And if it covers the rent, it's fine with me. But at the same time, there's a lot of profit in ice cream. I don't know if you know. There's a lot of profit in ice cream. If I make a couple extra bucks, that's great. It'd be fun. And at the same time, I also take these people and I give them jobs.
Right.
So, maybe we take a handful of teenagers or young adults and give them jobs. And it's a fun job. And I'm a fun employer. Everybody who works for me loves working for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to the podcast, you don't see how incredible this suit jacket is that you're wearing. Just that alone is clearly a fun job. Like I had a ton of fun at the free class that I attended for the investor schooling, especially when the Stock Option Sultan came out. And the Stock Option Sultan came out and talks about different plays and different things to look at that week, earnings and calls and puts and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so the Stock Option Sultan is a personality to himself.
Yeah.
He's crazy. He's absolutely crazy.
He is, and I love it, and it keeps bringing people back. And I'm curious because you had said that you had about 350 people come through the doors of the investor school over the last couple of years.
So it's investor schooling, ING.
Investor schooling.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's funny because everybody does that. But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just that people are looking it up. They got to look up investorschooling.com,
Okay.
ING, investorschooling.com. But
There we go. So when, at the investor schooling, what, you had talked about that person that came through the doors, never had a primary residence before. Now she has 5 rental properties.
Yeah.
What are some other like meteoric successes that have come through? Because I was looking at the website, there was this kid in high school that had like a property under contract. Yeah. Could you talk about some other success stories?
I'll talk about that kid. Then I'm going to talk about my absolute favorite success story.
Okay.
So the kid that you were talking about, so he was actually 18 years old. He was in high school, and it was like like April or something, and he's in high school. He's 18 years old. He's in high school, and he's coming to the school. I mean, his parents paid for the classes. I understand that, but he's coming to the school, and he decides he wants to do this. He gets a property under contract, And before he even graduates high school, he sells the property or flips the property and makes $10,000.
Wow.
I mean, how incredible is that? I mean, that's just amazing to me that the guy was able to do that. And, we obviously helped him through it, but sure enough, he made that money. Now I'm going to tell you my absolute favorite story. It's kind of sad, but it's kind of happy.
Okay.
So this guy comes to me, and sure enough, his entire life he owned 2 properties, both that he lived in. One that he had when he was younger. He sold that and moved into another house. And he's living there with his wife. And they come to me and they're like, yeah, we think we want to do this, whatever, and they're coming to school for, I don't know, maybe about a year and a half, and what happened at that point was we were teaching mobile home parks. So he buys a mobile home park, and I can't remember where it was. It was in Tennessee. I think it was in Tennessee. He buys a mobile home park in Tennessee, and he starts making money. So sure enough, this leads to him buying another mobile home park. So he now owns $2 million worth of mobile home parks. He's never owned a home in his, he's only owned his primary residence in his entire life. At one point, his wife comes up to me and goes, I can't believe this. I love this school. Don was so depressed before he came here, and, he just didn't know what to do with himself. He was so depressed. He's so excited. He comes to every class. He's excited. I've never seen him smile like this before. He's got this property now. He's doing really well, and everything is just really wonderful. Well, it just so happened that about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, Don got a serious, fast-moving cancer and died.
Oh, wow.
And his wife continues to say how happy the end of his life was because he came to investor schooling. So it's kind of neat to know that happens to be one of my favorite stories. And actually, if you come into investor schooling, you see a picture of him on the wall with his partner in the mobile home park. His partner was also a student, by the way, in the mobile home park. You can actually see them standing there at the sign of the mobile home park.
Wow.
So that's my favorite story, only because, this guy had, I gave him a very happy 2 years left of his life that he didn't even know was going to happen.
That's incredible. That feeling of, you were truly changing the trajectory of some people's lives. And
Absolutely.
To just kind of be that middleman, right? That conduit. It's like, here is the information that I'm going to present you from my own experience, from what I do, and you can take it or leave it. And if you take it, you might be very successful. If you don't, that's okay. Like, I'm going to be okay, right? But the fact that he was so happy with continuing to, how do you measure success? It's really an individual measurement, but his measure of success was through property, through owning land and mobile homes, and was able to turn some cash flow with this, and you had this huge impact on the last few months of this guy's life, the last few years of this guy's life.
It's not about money anymore.
Right.
So, obviously the school has to make some money, has to be profitable, has to pay the rent or the mortgage or whatever, has to pay the insurance, has to exist. But it's not about the money anymore. It's all about, that's what I'm after now. I'm after making other people successful. Until you start to hang around me, you don't fully understand that I teach people everything there is to know about money. So a lot of people go, oh, he's all about money. I'm like, no, I'm completely the opposite. I'm all about money, but I'm all about how to make you happy with what you're pursuing. So it's not, if somebody hands you $10 million, you may know what to do with it. You may not know what to do. You may go broke. You may not go broke. It doesn't matter. But it's not as satisfying as if you earned the $10 million.
Exactly.
And that's what we're teaching people to do. We're teaching people how to earn their first million. You take somebody who's had nothing their entire life and you turn them into a millionaire, it's kind of cool. And then people think, wow, if I was only a millionaire, I'd sell all my property. That's BS too. What happens when you become a millionaire is you realize that the journey was more fun than making it, so you continue the journey. That's why I said I'm opening an ice cream store. What do I care? I could leave this place empty. I could just leave it empty, leave it sit there. So it's in the middle of town, and it's ugly. The building's just ugly now because it's been I've owned it for 10, 12 years, and the people who were there when I bought it, they didn't do such a great job keeping it up. So the tenant, because it's a commercial building, the tenants are supposed to keep it up. And then the next people came in, they made it even worse. They moved out. They actually outgrew it. It did so well, they outgrew it. And now it's empty, and it's ugly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put a beautiful store here. It's right in the center of town. I'm going to put a place that when people drive by, they go, wow, look at that place. Why? Because I want people to go, wow, look at that place.
Yeah.
It's more important to me than the money I'm going to make. Now, I'll make money in the end, and it'll be great, but it'll be more fun. And knowing that these kids, are getting jobs, especially because there is a recession coming.
Yeah.
And they'll have people working there, and they'll be doing whatever they do, whatever they want their money for. I don't care. Maybe save up for a car if they're teenagers. And if they're adults, great. They'll be managers, and they'll make a couple extra bucks, and they'll run the place, and they'll make some extra money. And if they do a good job, I'll reward them. If they do a bad job, well, they can go work. They can go pretend to work somewhere else, like Elon Musk says.
Oh man, that's exciting! I'm excited to see what happens with this ice cream shop, and as you continue to just fix up communities around Pennsylvania. And
so you can't fix up a community.
No, okay.
I mean, unless you have billions of dollars, you can't fix up community. You can fix up one house or one person at a time, and once you start to realize that, that's when you not only does it become a goal that you can actually reach, but it also becomes fun. So many people come in. I want to own an entire city block. Why? Well, because I want to fix up the community. How many houses do you own now? None. Okay, why don't you go buy a house? Just buy one and see what it's like. And I also over renovate my properties. Now, this is something. It's funny because I have people say, "Why would you put $40,000 into that property when I could have put $6,000 into that property and rented it?" Like, because I want the property beautiful. I want somebody to walk in there and go, "Wow, this is the nicest property I've seen, and I'm going to take as good care of it as you did when you rented it to me." I actually put on my advertisement. Actually, you can actually see if you go onto the MLS, you'll see I have a property up for rent now. And at the end of every single one of my listings, or in the summary, it says renting nice places to nice people since 1983.
I love that.
And then that's it. So now they know. Basically, what am I doing? I'm eliminating people. If the person thinks they're not a nice person, they don't apply.
That's fair. That's pretty. That's a great way to attract people that are have that kind of common mindset where it's like I want people to enjoy living here.
Yes.
Because if I enjoyed the process of renovating this property and providing a beautiful place to live, I would really like it to have like-minded people that want to maintain this property and keep it beautiful. So
I just did a property in New Jersey, and it's funny because this property came out so well. Now, now this is funny because, I've been doing this for 42 years. I have never done a fix and flip in my entire life.
Never just a straight fix and flip. It was always a fix and hold.
It's always a fix and rent, or I sold it before I had a chance to renovate it.
Okay.
So it never happened to me before.
Wow.
So I'm done with this property. The intention was to be a fix and rent. When my guys were done with this, now I hired a new crew, and this crew is incredible. They're expensive, but they're incredible. I hired a new crew, and I walked through this place. I go, I can't rent this place. And they go, what do you mean? I go, I just can't rent this place. I go, I'm going to sell this to somebody who really appreciates it. And I actually didn't, so that would actually be my first fix and flip, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
Now, I think you should really feel bad for me and really feel sorry for me because I'm going to make $120,000 on this fix and flip. And it cost me nothing out of my pocket, no money out of my pocket whatsoever. And that's another thing we teach. Matter of fact, at closing, I got some money back.
Wow, that's
so
incredible.
It cost me nothing. I had no earnest money deposit. It cost me nothing. And at closing, I got a check. I think I got a check for like $30,000 or $33,000 at closing.
Wow.
I put that in my pocket. And then I renovated it with 0% credit cards. And the whole renovation took less than 6 months. I put it up on the market, and I had an offer in 7 days, and I accepted it.
That's incredible. And
when
these are all things you teach at Investor School.
Yeah, these are all stuff I teach at Investor School. It closes the end of this month, and I pocket between 110 and 120. I'm not even sure exactly.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
I could talk real estate all day long because that's my bread and butter. I absolutely love all facets of the real estate transaction, whether it's on the retail side, the investor side. I could talk about it all day. But this is the Bucks County Living Podcast.
Bucks County Living?
It's Bucks County Living.
I thought it was How to Make More Money podcast.
Yeah. Well, listen,
you got to make more money living in Bucks County.
You have to. Because I was just talking about it a couple weeks ago. Our school systems are decent. It's a decent place to live. So next, I want to get your your perspective on it. So next we move into a section called the Big Three. So the
right.
Big Three are questions that I ask everybody that comes onto the show.
Okay.
So my first question, Larry, is what do you think makes Bucks County a great place to live?
I don't know. Who cares?
Who cares?
Because I live here and Investor Schooling's here. That's the only reason it's a good place to live.
Okay.
I really don't. I mean, Bucks County has some really cool stuff. Like, you could literally go from here, your office, and you could be in private roads, like nice, beautiful private roads you could take your motorcycle on, and then you can end up in cities like Morrisville.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat, where you're, it's just kind of diverse. It's also very big.
It's huge. It is absolutely huge. About an hour and a half from top to bottom.
Exactly. I mean, I have places in Quakertown. I own I own some real estate in Quakertown, and I'm like, that's really Bucks County?
Yeah.
Like, it takes me almost an hour and a half to get there. That's insane.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is very diverse. So my next question is, what's your favorite restaurant in Bucks County?
McDonald's.
There's tons of those.
Yeah, well, why would anybody say anything else?
Yeah. I think that's Warren Buffett's favorite place too. So
No. Dairy Queen, because he owns it.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Every morning, it's interesting. Warren Buffett most mornings goes to McDonald's, from what I understand.
What is it?
He goes to McDonald's for breakfast
does he?
most
I thought he
mornings.
goes to Dairy Queen, but that's fine.
Yeah, where if like the market is good, he'll have like just an egg McMuffin or something, and then if the market's bad, he'll have like 2 sausage patties.
That's funny.
And that's it.
I have no idea. I mean, and when I say McDonald's, I'm obviously teasing, but I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's not, there's a couple of restaurants I go to, but I really don't have a favorite. I just try to find another one.
Yeah.
And then
there's plenty.
You go there. Yeah, there's many. There are a lot.
There's plenty.
What's your favorite?
My favorite? Ooh, it just depends on what I'm in the mood for.
See? You asked that question, and you don't even have an answer to it.
I know. It depends on what I'm in the mood for, because if I'm in the mood for like Indian food, Guru's and Newtown Borough is incredible. Sure. If I'm in the mood for Italian food, Cafe Antonio in Morrisville is excellent.
Sure.
If I'm in the mood for Spanish or Mexican food, there's Margaritas right by Oxford Valley Mall, but then also Cancun right down the street from it is incredible. So there's so many. Oh, and also Gran Rodeo, which is in I think it's in Warrington.
All right.
So there's so many.
You're mentioning all these like little places. Go to Pineville Tavern down the road.
Ooh, Pineville Tavern.
Go to Pineville Tavern. That's a good place. Really good place. And get they call it the Luger steak.
Okay.
Right. It's first of all, it's for 2. But it's really good, especially when they do it right. And you ready? They have the best rice pudding you'll ever have.
Oh, wow.
So go to Pineville Tavern, and I'm not calling it my favorite.
Okay.
I'm still not calling it my favorite.
Okay.
But if I had to say, if somebody said, you have to pick a place in Bucks County to go to, I'd probably go there.
Pineville Tavern.
Yeah.
I tried their buffalo chicken egg rolls. They're really, really good. So I'll have to try the Luger steak next time we go.
Oh, man, it's so good.
That's incredible. And my last question, Larry, is where can people find out more about you and investor schooling?
So there's so many things I'm doing right now. Probably the easiest way to contact me is go to www.contactlarry.com. You have to type it in the URL bar. You can't do a search on it. Contactlarry.com. contactlarry.com, and that way you can find everything that I'm up to. You can find my book, you can find links to my book Money Hacks, which is a great book, by the way. For $20, I'm going to tell you, this is an overview of everything we teach in investor schooling. Great book. It also has links to investor schooling, and if you want to go directly there, you go to investorschooling.com, and you can go there directly. Or if you just want to go to just go to Contact Larry. It's easy. Also, I tell you what, for your people only, it's for your people only. Don't tell anybody else about it. If they go to contactlarry.com, they could click a link on there, and they can actually schedule an appointment with me, and I'll talk to them about anything. They want to talk about their money, their current situation. I can I'll give them some of my time for free. And if they want to talk about their current situation or money or something they got going on or a real estate deal or whatever it is they want to talk about, if they just want to say hi, that's fine too. I frown on that one, but that's okay. I'll still say hi to people because I it's always fun. So you can book an appointment with me on contactlarry.com, and you can talk to me anytime.
Awesome. So make sure to mention the Bucks County Living Podcast for a free 1 hour session.
No, it's not a 1 hour session.
Not 1 hour. How long we get? How long do the people get?
So did I tell you it was 1 hour?
I just assumed it was 1 hour.
Really?
Because to get an hour,
you think I could talk to somebody for an hour?
I mean we've been going for a little while now.
Well, how long have I been talking to you?
Let's see. We're at minute 35 here.
Okay, so
So
You think we could go another 25 minutes?
I think we could.
No, we
I
can't.
think we could. For the listener's
we
sake, I think we'll cut it short. But
Just go there, book it, and if we need more time, we'll schedule more time.
awesome.
All right.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Larry. Thank you so much for coming out today. I'm really excited to continue to see where investor schooling goes.
You need to come to class.
I do need to come to class. Thursday nights I work with a nonprofit, which is the only reason that I haven't been able to come more often, because it's something that I've been mulling over for a while now.
Show up once a month. I don't care.
Okay.
Just show up this Thursday. By the way, we're actually this Thursday. Well, I'll tell you offline because by the time this is aired, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you would enjoy this Thursday, especially if we're talking about restaurants.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate you coming out today. Make sure to go check out Investor Schooling and all of the books authored by Larry Steinhouse. Thank you so much. And as always, if you have any questions about Bucks County living, make sure to reach out anytime.